Today we're taking a journey through time. We're going to explore the evolution of one of humankind's most essential tools, the calculator. From counting on our fingers to having access to supercomputers in our pockets, the way we've tamed numbers has drastically shaped the world around us. It's a story of incredible innovation, mind-bending mechanics, and a relentless quest for speed and accuracy. Today we're going to get hands-on with some truly iconic calculators. We'll see how each one works, uncover some amazing facts, and see how each one revolutionized its era. Let's get started. Our first stop takes us back a couple thousand years to the invention of the abacus. Now, you might have seen one of these before, but don't underestimate its power. This simple frame with beads was the world's first calculator. This is a Japanese abacus, but different variations have been found across the ancient world, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, to Rome, to China, to Russia, really all over the place. Let's try to have a quick walkthrough on how this works without taking up too much time. This Japanese abacus also has a reset button that when you press it just mechanically pushes the beads back to their zero position, which I think is pretty neat. All right, so let's zero that out. So the way that this works is all about place value. Starting from the right side, we have our ones, our tens, our hundreds, thousands, and so on. This bar that goes across is called our answers bar, and whichever of these beads actually touches the answer bar, like that, gets counted towards the final sum. So we always start with the bottom part. Let's start with our ones. So that is a 1 because it's touching the answer bar. That's a 2, that's a 3, that's a 4. Now when you want to add 5, you actually push from the top. So these go back down. That's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 7, that's an 8, that's a 9. And the same applies for all the other place values. So that's a 50, that's a 60, that's a 70, that's a 80, that's a 90, and so on. So let's just do a quick addition here. Let's say we want to do 52, so that's 50, so that's a 5 from the tens placement, and we have 2 from the ones. So 52 plus, let's say 31. So 31 would be a 3 from the tens, so I'm just going to add 3 here, and a 1 from the ones. I'm just going to add 1 more, and now that gives us our final answer, which is 83. So that's a 50, 60, 70, 80, and 1, 2, and 3. For thousands of years, the abacus was an irreplaceable tool for merchants and engineers. It allowed for complex trade, the construction of monumental architecture, and many advancements in astronomy and mathematics. Imagine trying to build the pyramids or run a vast empire without having a reliable way to tally goods and count your taxes. This made complex societal organization possible. It was the foundation of commerce for centuries. Now we jump forward, way forward, to the early 1900s. This is a Burroughs Adding Machine, a fully mechanical calculator that now, instead of beads, uses gears and levers to add up all of the numbers that you input using this keypad. Now, while the idea of mechanical calculation had been around since the 17th century, it was only until now, the early 1900s, where these machines became mass-produced and widespread in offices. Much like the abacus, this device also works with place values. Starting from the right side, we have our ones, and then we have our tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. But unlike the abacus, we now have a display which just shows you the sum of all the numbers that you input using this keypad. And then on the left and the right side, we also have these red elements that you could move around, and they work as decimal points, which can get quite useful as well. So let's just do a quick addition. If I start from the ones column, if I press 5, you could see it show up on the display. If I press it again, you'll see we have a 10. So that's now either a 5 plus 5, which is a 10, or 5 times 2, because I clicked on that twice. So that's a 10. And then the lever on the right, if we pull on that, that clears our value for us. Remember, this is fully mechanical, so whenever we input a key or we pull on that crank, gears and levers are moving in here to give us the values that we want. Now, if I want to work with bigger numbers, let's say 4,567, I can either do 4 from the thousands, 5 from the hundreds, 6 from the tens, and then 7 from the ones. But I could also just click on all the 4 buttons at the same time, and you can see That's just multiplying it together. Now that's even possibly faster than modern calculators, because in a modern calculator, I still have to do 4,567 plus 4,567. So each time you have multiple inputs, whereas here, it's just boom, 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 boom. The impact of these machines on the business world was revolutionary. Suddenly, tasks that took hours of manual calculation could be done in a fraction of the time and with much greater accuracy. This caused the growth of larger corporations, banking, government agencies. It also introduced some new job roles, like a computer, a person who's highly skilled at using these machines. So before that term was used to describe personal computing, it was actually someone's occupation. Like 50 pounds. We're now in the 1920s, the era of the electromechanical calculator. While this still relies on those same intricate mechanical systems to work, we now have an electric motor. That means we can automate certain tasks, and we can now do certain operations right from the keypad itself, like subtraction, and much less physically demanding because you don't need to pull the crank to clear anymore. Much like the previous calculator, this is a mechanical machine. The biggest difference here is that we can plug this in. Before we get it started, I'll give you guys a quick walkthrough. Very similar to the previous two calculators, we have our place values, so we have our ones, tens, and so on. But now on top, we have a long display with, I think, around 15 digits on the bottom and around 8 digits on top. I'll explain what each display does. And each column is attributed to a point in this display. Now the cool thing here is that we can actually move the display using this crank. So if I move it, you'll see that I get to decide which digit I want to attribute to each column. So I can just move it around, but I'm just going to keep it here to begin with. Let's go ahead and plug it in. And that sound that you hear is actually the motor going, and this is a sound that will always be in the background as people were using these devices. Now let's do a quick addition. Let's punch in 456. And now if we press plus once, you'll see that our bottom display shows 456, and then our top display shows 1, which is our count. If we press plus one more time, you'll see that our count is 2, so that's 456 multiplied by 2 is 912. If I press it again, that's 456 multiplied by 3 is 1,368. Now, what if we want to subtract? Let's say we want to subtract 68 from 1,368. First I'll clear what's punched in, and then I'm going to just put 68, and then I'm going to press the subtract button. And you'll see that now we have 1,300, and our count also got subtracted back to 2. Now in order for me to clear, we have a crank on the right. If I go clockwise, I clear the count, which is the top display. If I go counterclockwise, I clear the bottom display. These machines played a crucial role in everything, from designing infrastructure to aircraft to managing the logistics of war. They were the bridge between the purely mechanical age and the silent revolution that was just around the corner. But what if you need something powerful, yet portable? Take a look at this. This might look like a pepper grinder or maybe a hand grenade, but this is actually the Curta Type 1 calculator, and it is an absolute marvel of mechanical engineering. By far the most collectible and hence the most expensive piece in today's video. This calculator was designed by Kurt Herstmark in the 1930s and 40s, partly while he was still imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp during World War II. It's completely mechanical. This masterpiece of engineering has over 600 parts. So how does this machine work? Up front we have 8 sliders which we could use to set our initial value. I'm just going to set 12 here. And then on the top, on the left side, we have a black bar, which is our answers bar. And on the right, we have a silver bar, which actually keeps track of our count. Now with 12 set here, if I go ahead and twist that crank on top once, you'll see that I have 12. And then on the count, I have a 1. And now if I twist it again, As you might have guessed, it's a 24, and our count is 2. Now, what if we want to subtract? Let's say we have 24, and then I want to subtract 10 from 24. Now, instead of twisting it, I actually pull up first, and then I twist, and then you can see that we have an answer of 14 now. And then, because we subtracted, it actually decreases the count as well. So now we're back to 1. Now, in order to clear, I'm just going to grab this lever, and I'm going to twist, and then that should clear both the answer bar as well as the counter. Now, this device also understands place value. We're currently set to 1 here, which is our ones. And if I set it to 2, that's our hundreds, and then thousands, and so on. So if I just set it to 1,000, and then we have 10 selected, if I twist that, you'll see we have an answer of 10,000. And then on our count, you can see that it's 1,000. For the first time in history, we had an extremely accurate, pocketable device that was capable of multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. The Curta was nicknamed the math grenade, and it was highly sought after by engineers, mathematicians, even rally car drivers, basically anyone who needed precision on the go. If you needed some serious calculating power away from the desk, this was really your only option. It allowed for on-site calculations in the field, in ships, even in the sky. Pretty incredible, right? But in the late 60s, something happened which killed the need for this device, and as a result, revolutionized the world of calculation forever. And that something was the electronic calculator. While the Curta was a mechanical masterpiece for portability, the invention of the integrated circuit board and the transistor brought about a new kind of magic. This, my friends, is where things get speedy and silent in a way that those mechanical beasts just could not manage. This is the Lloyds Accumatic 30. It was manufactured in 1975. Suddenly, the whirring gears and the clanking levers were replaced by silent electronic components and glowing displays like this cool retro vacuum fluorescent display. In terms of functionality, I think most of you guys have used this at some point in your lives, but just a quick rundown. On top, we have our display, and then we have our numpad on the left, and we can do 25 times 25 equals 625. Many like this one ran on AA batteries, making them truly portable for use in the office, at school, or even out in the field. The impact was colossal. It made mechanical calculators like the Curta a collector's item rather than a device that you would use. It paved the way for computers and ultimately the smartphones that we use every single day. So we've journeyed from the ancient Abacus to the intricate clockwork machines of the mechanical era to the sleek, powerful electronic calculators and ultimately your smartphone. Each one a revolution in its time, a testament for our quest to quantify, to understand, and to build the world around us. And with the electronic calculator, we reached sort of a perfection. It became sleek, powerful, affordable, so much so that the calculator as a distinct physical entity arguably completed its evolutionary arc. What we're seeing today with the rise of AI isn't just a better calculator. It's the dawn of truly smart tools where calculation is an intrinsic, almost unconscious function of the system. The calculators of today don't just help us compute answers, they help us formulate questions and navigate complexities far beyond the scope of their predecessors. Thank you for sticking around. If this video sparked your curiosity, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.